Whenever you're ready.
Yeah. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this Zoom call that my wonderful friend Anthony and I thought we could facilitate and get you guys on together and talk a little about, creating with and beyond religion, ethnicity, and culture. So, Anthony, I'd love to have you come in.
Yeah, thanks. Well, welcome everyone. This is Chandana told me about this call a while ago, and it really struck a chord inside of me because I've been a seeker like my whole entire life, and many of you from India, I followed a guru for about a year. He was the guru of the Isha Yoga Foundation by the name of Jaggi Vasudev. So maybe some of you may know him. Anyway. But I've done metaphysics, I had my guru, and then, did Christianity for a good 5.5 years. And then I was raised Catholic as well, but my family wasn't really practicing Catholics. So we really lacked spirituality in my household growing up. They just kind of sent me through the traditional programs because that's what you're supposed to do when you have kids, right? Yeah. But I was always hungry for knowledge. I was always hungry for, what happens when you die. I always felt like I had this constant warfare going on between me and God or a higher power, but there was nobody really around that could feed me in a way that worked for me. And certainly not when I went through Catholicism and the programs there. So when Chandana brought up this topic, I got really super excited about it. And then she asked if I wanted to be a part of it. But this is I've seen people die because of the constructs of religion. I've watched hopelessness because of the constructs of religion. Now, we're not saying that religion is bad. We're not saying cultural traditions are bad. They're actually quite fun and very fascinating especially with all the traveling I've been doing. It's just beautiful to see all the different cultural traditions. But it's when they stifle you, when they make you feel powerless, when there's so many wrongs and not enough rights or too many rights and, so many wrong, it's like, where's the choice for you? So we're really just inviting people to sort of create this conversation around that area so that you could actually be empowered. You can begin to start creating your life, and that you no longer have to be at the effect of any particular point of view from any religion or culture or ethnicity. And Hello. Put yourself on mute, everybody.
All right.
You got him? All right.
Interesting.
Goodness gracious. So anyway, so I'm excited to be a part of it. I'm grateful for the invitation. And I don't know, I just recently did a DNA test with Ancestry.com. And, my mother's from Italy. And I never met my biological father, but, she told me he was Puerto Rican, right? But here I have red hair, freckles, and brown eyes, right? So it's like, okay, I have to have a bunch of Scandinavian in me or something, or Irish. So I finally did this DNA test, and I don't know if there's any geneticists on the line. I'm not sure how accurate they are. So I got the results, and 85% of my DNA is European, and it's actually Italian and Greek, which, wow. Okay, that kind of matches. Yeah. But then guess what? 9%, I'm African. from
I
Northern
don't know where
Africa.
that comes from.
Yeah. So like they say that I'm part of the Northern Africa region, like Morocco, um, uh, Sahara, Libya, and Algeria. And so I'm like, what do those people look like? You know, I'm like, oh. And then there was only 7% Irish. Like that's it. So I'm like, wow. And you know, it's amazing the separation that we create because of the land that we come from. To me, it's such a primitive way of being. I mean, it's 2017, and we're really going to create separation because you were born in a particular land or country or culture. I mean, we're all connected. We're all like cousins with each other, and we don't even know it. And yet, we're still killing each other and dropping bombs, you know? And, you know, I don't know about you, but that pisses me off, you know? And so, and I know that that's part of the reason why you're doing this call, Shauna, because it's like there is another possibility
Yes,
out there.
Anthony, for me too. It was. Thank you for sharing how how it started out the journey for you before you got the tools of access and before you started to realize that there was more to life than just religion or just spirituality or just your culture, right? So for me too, I was born into religion. I always say that because I was born into a family that was very religious, right? And we were proud of our religion. We were proud of the family we belonged to. We were proud of the culture that we had, and that was something which was actually literally, you inherited it and you pass it on to your children, right? And so somewhere along that, it was for me, it was nice to be there. Yet, like you said, you were a seeker. I had a lot of questions. So I wanted to know, I wanted to ask that, who decides what happens for me in my life? I still remember asking my mom as a little girl, I was probably 9 or 10. And I remember asking her that, Mom, why is somebody lame and why can he not walk when somebody else can run and probably run a marathon, and he's just fine, they both have legs, so what's the difference here? And my mom's answer was, well, it's probably the past life karma. And for me, that was something which just came to me. And I was like, no, that can't be. I mean, it can't be something like that where you don't even know what you did, right? Okay, maybe it's a past life karma, like we talk about in religion, and we talk about the karmas. But for me, karma is something which was so heavy. So it's like, okay, if it is karma, and if you can just look at karma as a choice that we made, probably unawareness or from awareness, then how much lighter and how much easier it becomes to shift that. You really don't have to suffer. For me, it was like, okay, so I don't have to suffer something that I did in some past life. And I had this karma which I've carried, the baggage I've carried into this lifetime, because of which I have to suffer this lifetime when I haven't suffered enough to be able to probably get lifted by the Almighty. So that was something just like, it was like, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And that was a question that I would ask everybody who were the learned, who was so called, who had so much of knowledge about the
Hey,
past. Yeah,
Chandana, hold on a second. Can we
yeah.
get everybody to please mute yourselves because there's a lot of feedback when Chandana's talking.
Yes.
And there's some people that are still not on mute. You can hear your background noise. Everybody, please.
Sorry, that might have been me. Hi there, guys.
No, hey,
It's
sweetheart. How
Cass.
you doing? No, I don't think that was you. But anyway, just everybody, if you could just mute yourselves, that would be great.
Yeah. So,
All right. Still one more out there.
Yeah.
Hey, Chandana, can you make Anita a co-host, and then this way she can take care of that while you're speaking?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mute yourself or
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Awesome. That's done. No, Anthony's
Yeah, I'm
host
doing
now.
We still have Rupa that needs to be muted.
Just a moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So I didn't mean to interrupt you. It was just hard to hear you very well.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Much better too. Okay.
Yeah. So for me, that was something which came, like I was talking about the karmas. For me, it was like, this just doesn't work for me. So when for my journey, I was like into religion big time. I've been to the temples, I've been to the chapels because I was in a convent. I've been to churches, I've been to mosques. I mean, you name it and I've been there, right? I've done Buddhism, I've practiced Buddhism for almost 2 years. So it was all about the karma, and it were all these questions that would come up for me, and I would be given these answers, which was always something that would make me helpless. It never empowered me. It never gave me an awareness that, okay, I can change it. So it was something that did not get me out there with an awareness. Like what Access did for me was, it just showed me so simply that, hey, what if you made certain choices from unawareness, and what if you can just change all of that by making a different choice today?
Yeah.
So that for me was like, right, and that was no answer. That was just that what if you can be more aware and ask for more awareness? So that's what actually shifted big time for me. And that's where this class actually showed up in my reality. Right. I was like, religion's not wrong. It's beautiful. I mean, I am here today because that's all been a contribution to me. So what if religion's not wrong? What if culture's not wrong? What if our ethnicity can just be a contribution to everybody on this planet?
Right.
And like you said, Anthony, the killings and the bombings, I mean, that's not what we want to leave behind for our children.
No.
Right? Yeah.
Not at all. And, what if religion was supposed to be something that creates possibility and not limitation? And so for me, it's like all these different things that I did, all these different spiritual practices that I did, I would have moments of being empowered. But it was like every time the shit would hit the fan in my life or in my late wife's life, it was like the constructs, the form and structure. It was like the linearities, like the prejudices. They all seemed to show up when we needed them to be like have the most freeing and open mind possible, because whatever they said that should work did not work.
Everything was much cheaper than the novel.
And because it was that always distracts me because of my ADD, So, it's like, and it's amazing because when something's not working, they all find fault with the person who's having the problem. At least that was my personal experience or personal journey. And I'm like, wait a minute. Right? You're talking about infinite possibilities in all these different religions. And yet when someone's sick, when someone's dying, it's their fault, it's their problem, or they're not practicing hard enough, or they're not doing the religion good enough. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like everything we did, whether it was with the Yoga Foundation, we did it Monday through Sunday, not just like every once in a while at seminars. When we did the Christianity thing, we were Christians Monday through Sunday, like every day, right? And it's like, but yet it still managed to be our fault when things weren't working out in our life. We weren't religious enough. We didn't read the Bible enough, or we didn't do our shunyas enough, or our pranayams enough. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, seriously? What else do you want us to do here? You know what I mean? It's like I'm watching someone die and you're telling me we're not enough? And so what's amazing about the tools with Access is it's never about giving you an answer. It is certainly never about making you wrong, but it's really just empowering you to always be in the question, because the question actually is the one thing that we have available that could actually change the solidity of anything. And that's what I found over the last almost 6 years I've been involved in Access. And it's like, wow, that doesn't sound like a supposed to me, right? That doesn't sound like a disempowering to me. So it's like living in and as the question actually can change any situation. And Good Lord.
Wow.
I'm going to find you, whoever's not on mute. I'm coming after you. I will find you. No. All right. So anyway, maybe the entities aren't happy about this conversation, or the demons, I should say.
Yeah, the lots.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's great about access is like, you don't have to lose anything. You don't have to give up anything. You may have to change some of your points of view, because as we've learned, our points of view create our reality, right? And so what's nice is you don't have to give up anything, but they're just really pragmatic tools to just create a life where you're not stuck inside of a box. And that's what we're trying to both invite people to with the call series that we're doing.
Yeah, that's really beautifully put, Anthony. Yeah. So it's interesting because in India, I remember when, I think it was Julia who asked me in Langkawi that how many states do you have? And I was telling her we have almost more than 28 states in India. In each state, we speak a different language, we wear different clothes, and we have different customs, right? Wow. And that comprises India. Yet there's so much of diversity in the country. Yet each culture contributes to another culture. And somewhere, what I sense when somewhere, when you go from up north down, you go to the extreme south, you sometimes feel that, oh my God, have I walked into a different country? And it's like so different. And then, and that's a time when, couple of times when I was talking to certain people, there was a very silent, simmering anger between people of how, a different state or a different sect of people were getting more from the country and more from the government than they were getting. Which is actually, if you see, that's how separation starts, right? That's how most of the countries had partition, and that's how most of the countries broke up. So that's like a silent simmering which starts to create so much of anger and so much of animosity because of that separation.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like we talk about the dichotomy universe, right, Anthony? It's like, where we just keep separating to create that oneness. And there's never really that which shows up then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then go outside of India, and then different parts of the world, when they see India, they see it all as like one. They don't even realize that there's actually different cultures and religions with with regards to like the men who wear the turbans, right? They all assume that they're all part of the Islamic nation or something like that. Yeah. And that's not true at all. It's like, so we're so uneducated, you know what I mean? People don't choose to be aware because we automatically assume when we're even outside of the whole country or nation of India that they must all be the same. You know what I mean? So I'd really like to take the ignorance out of so much of the diversity that we create and the separation that we create and the projections and the expectations and the judgments and rejections we have of other nations and religions. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous.
So why don't we run a few clearings on exactly that, Anthony, on the expectations and projections? I think that would probably clear some of the air around, right?
Yeah. What stupidity is everyone using to create the separation with regards to religion, culture, ethnicity? You are choosing. And everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate all of that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. What stupidity are you using to create the separation of culture, religion, ethnicity, whatever you are choosing? Everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate that, please.
Yes, please.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Whoops. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So along with the expectations, sometimes when I look around and so it's like even besides the cultural, okay, that's me. There's a lot of noise on the road because today's the Sera, which is a very big festival where they burn down evil and allow the good to win, right? So that's like a huge
Yeah.
festival in India. Yeah. So we were talking about, when I see culturally, when I see women and men in different parts of the world, I find that such a huge separation. Because when a woman goes from India to probably America, or from America when they come to India, there's certain norms that, you already decided you have to be accepted by them. And you already decided that if I'm going to be me there, they're not going to accept me and they're not going to be able to receive me. And there starts the camouflaging and the image, and you start playing a certain role to fit in, instead of just being just who you are, and just allowing the culture to just flow through you. So it's like an access. It's so beautiful, because I think what Gary said, I was going through the reference materials, and where he's written that a lot of people talk about access as being a cult. So it's so interesting, because access is probably the only one modality where people from all over the world, they are just in it, right? So where does the cult come in? And it's so wonderful, because like when I met you, Anthony, we had nothing really in common except access, right? Yet we have too much in common, because like we're seekers. We want to know more. We know there's more possible. And with that comes up, there's so many possibilities which start to show up, which is not there in the regular world. You're made wrong. When you're made just so wrong if you think and if you talk like that.
Yeah. Or if you just look a certain way, you're automatically put into a box. So many people don't even give people a chance because of what they're wearing. They automatically assume they're this, that, or the other thing, which is not true.
Right.
So what stupidity are we all using to create the defense against religion, culture, ethnicity you are choosing? Everything that is times a godzillion. We just try and uncreate all of that. Right and wrong, good and bad, pon and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. What if we actually just looked at ourselves as infinite beings? What would that take? And we just happen to pick this particular body this time around.
And to be born in a certain country, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm 9% African. I just found out. It's scientifically
proven. My DNA done. DNA test done. I wonder what's going to show up there.
Hey, I highly recommend it, because it might change a lot of y'all's points of view about the way you see yourselves and the way you see the world. Because and then within the results, they talked about this thing called 6 degrees of separation. And like they say something like for every six people you come in contact with, you're most likely related to them on a certain level. And like they can like even help you find your second, fourth, fifth, sixth cousin all the way down the line. So
I think you just
like we are all based on points of view.
Yeah.
So everything that is times a godzillion, we all please destroy and uncreate everywhere that you created that. Either in another lifetime or this lifetime. Yeah, right and wrong, good and bad, pon and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And all the oaths, vows, swearings, fealties, communities, commitments, binding and bonding contracts throughout all time, space, dimensions, and realities you have to your religion, culture, ethnicity. Will you revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate all that times a godzillion?
Yes, please.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pon and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. I mean, I was looking at this thing, I was watching this movie called The Promise, and it was about when Turkey came in and invaded Armenia, okay? And they drove these people out. We'll make a long story short, it's like because of all the different wars that have existed everywhere, right? It would force people to have to leave their region and go to a different culture sometimes. And then those cultures, I'm sure some people fell in love with people that were not of the same culture, right? And then they made babies. And then there's me. I mean, are you kidding me? If you looked at me, you'd be like, oh, you're all Irish. Well, not according to science. I'm more African than I am Irish, right? So, but it's like if we all knew what at least this body, our current bodies are currently made up of, maybe we would be willing to look at all the different cultures, the different religions, and to get an idea of what their points of view are, so that actually there would no longer be separation, but actually communion. You
Yes.
know, I mean, what would that take? So I suggest everybody do a DNA test to find out at least what this particular body that you have is comprised of, because it's not what you think it's going to be. You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
So I thought it was pretty cool. I was going to show you the results on my phone, but I can't find it right now. But yeah, I'm calling everybody. I'm like, you got to do this thing. But it just created so much awareness in my world, because I thought for sure I was going to have a lot of Scandinavian in me. And so what would it take? Yeah, you know, what would it take by the end of our call series for everyone to look out the world and to actually see no separation whatsoever, and to actually create spaces within politics, within religion, where there's actually communion and no longer separation?
Yeah. And what if actually all of this stuff can start to contribute to us, right? To creating so much more ease with each other. You know,
Yeah.
it's like how much more could we receive if we didn't have those limitations of, you know, different cultures, different religions, and how much easier could receiving be from just everybody around us, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible, and it's something that we all need to choose collectively,
Yeah.
you know. And it's amazing. I learned something just recently about, and forgive me if I'm saying it wrong, but I don't know how to say it, but it's spelled Sikh, the Sikh religion. Am I saying that right?
Absolutely.
Right.
That's
And there was this whole.
that's what I follow. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but like, you know, people like in the United States automatically assume they're Muslim,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And it's like, and there was this guy, I forget where, but he is of the Sikh religion, and he's running for, I don't know, mayor or maybe governor. And then you have these women, these white women were like in his face, you know, saying all these bigotry things. And even the things that they were saying were incorrect because they automatically assumed he was Muslim. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's ridiculous. What would it take to change that? What would it take to inform people and let them know that they're really functioning from almost a primitive state of mind?
Yeah. And it's like, you know, you get categorized. You get categorized as something, and as a certain person, and as a certain class of people based
Yeah.
on your religion, your culture, and your ethnicity. You even get, and I've noticed, this is something that I've noticed, you know, it's happening so very often around me that it's probably then my face to see that children are choosing business, children are creating money, parents are allowing them to go, are actually allowing them to choose it because it's something that your culture accepts. So the
Mm-hmm.
step out of something that your friends' kids aren't doing or your family's not doing, there's just so much of fear attached around that, because it's that fear of the unknown that, you know, I don't know what my kid's choosing. So that trust is not there in the kids, in yourself. There's no trust that you really know. It's more about,
Right.
my granddad did it, my dad did it, or my husband did it, or my kids can
Yeah.
do it because XYZ does it. So it's all about following. It's not about becoming a leader. It's just
Right.
following people, and, you know, and it's again about having followers to have a stronger religion or a stronger culture, instead of actually just being the leader for yourself and for your own life and your own living.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point, because it's like how many of us have followed the leader, but in all actuality was creating more of their life instead of our own.
Absolutely. So true.
And
Yes.
so everywhere where we've all functioned on automatic pilot with regards to culture, religion, ethnicity, we destroy and uncreate all that. Yeah, right, wrong, good and bad, pom pock, all nine shorts, boys and mountains. This is super exciting. I'm like really fired up because this is going to be a lot of us created stuff, so we can actually get to change it. You know?
And how much
So,
change, right? For us, for our kids, I mean, the generations coming ahead, how much could change? Wow. Wow.
yeah, you know, how much of this is actually required so that we have actually a sustainable Earth and a planet for our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren to be able to live on.
Yes.
You have all this separation and stuff like that, and people blowing up bombs in the sky and
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's like, which nuclear program can I have? Including us, the United States. It's like, come on, people.
Look
It's
at
like,
it's just there's just so much of it out there. It's just so easy to play with. It's become so easy to play with power, right? It's like which
yeah,
country has more power. It's all about power and control, and that's what we are picking up. That's what we are teaching. That's what's actually creating that separation, because it's all about who can be more powerful and which country
yeah.
can be more powerful. Which actually, Anthony, interestingly enough, comes down in history. If you read any
Totally.
country's history, it's all about control and power, right? It was never about,
Everywhere.
yeah. And that's what we have been taught. That's what we know, and that's what we believe has been true. But I really
Yeah.
think now is the time when we can actually change all of this by showing the different possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
having
else is actually possible? What is truly possible that none of us have even considered with
yes,
all of this?
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
so anyway, yeah. So this was fun, and we'll take a couple of questions if you like, and then I guess we'll go on our way. But we'd love to invite you to this 4-part call and really clear a lot of these cobwebs and this ickiness around this area, so that we can actually create a life that's possible. But even more importantly, create a sustainable future for the planet and our kids and so forth. So, does anybody have any questions before we go?
And you can mute yourselves.
I don't know if I have a question. I just want to say you guys look great, and I'm so happy waiting at the airport to be sitting here listening to you. It's awesome. Thank you for doing this, and
Thanks.
thank you for the change, really, that you're inviting in the kingdom of we on the planet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Cass. Thank you.
One thing I'd like to add, too, reminded me, she'll be going to Moscow in November, and I just got back from there. And it's like, how much of the media and what we see on the media is intended to create the points of view that we actually have? We spent 12 days in Moscow, and it's a beautiful city. It's one of the cleanest cities I've ever been to. And people were some of the kindest people I've ever met in my life. And I'm like, but that's not what we see in the media,
Right.
at least in our country, And I'm like, what a beautiful city.
Oh yeah.
And like, so
Yeah, the media. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I wanted to say add something to that.
To create whatever our part is in creating that in the media, whether it's this lifetime or other lifetimes. But it's like, man, we don't get all the facts. We just don't.
No.
And you have one man pushing his baby in a stroller in the street because he wanted to spend time with his child. You have another person who's trying to run their business because they're trying to create for their family. No different than what we're trying to do here in the United States. And yet we create such intense separation,
Wow.
and it's like, Moscow's a beautiful city, and I adored the people that were in my class. They were the kind, and you know what? It's like, I did not see Russians in front of me. I saw people. I saw human beings.
Yes.
And it's like, when I look at all of you on the TV screen here, it's like, I see people. You just happen to live in different places and had traditions that might be a little bit different than mine. But it's like, I would love to know about your traditions. They're fun. Traditions are meant to be fun and for celebration, not to confine and restrict and oppress and suppress. And that's what Shana and I would like to create with this call, is like blasting through it. Let's let it be fun again if we're going to do tradition, right?
All right.
It should be about a celebration
Yes.
party. I'm sorry, Cass.
No, not at all. I'm looking forward. I'm going in March, actually, to Moscow, and we'll talk about it. I want to hear all about it.
Oh, much.
Okay. I was in Israel last month, and I'm from the States and New York, and lots of friends from Israel, and I've been waiting to go all my life. And I was so blown away by the number of mosques and churches and places where it's a melting pot. You don't see that on the news. You always hear Israelis and Muslims, they're fighting. There's in the church where Jesus's body is or was, there's a mosque in front of it. So I'm standing in the piazza in front of the church with the 12 o'clock Muslim prayer ringing in my ear. And there's churches around, and there's obviously synagogues, but it's so not what you see on the medias, right? So everywhere we've allowed the media to create our reality and our judgments and separations and projections. Let's just try to create all that. Yeah.
Right. Well, good at that part of all on short to be honest.
That's a wonderful one to actually bring in, because what I see is media actually thrives, it survives on hate. I mean, if it didn't allow hate to grow, media would be out of business, right? It's like you open the newspaper and there's hate, there's anger, there's abuse, and that's what they're selling out there. So they've made hate and they made abuse and they made anger their business.
Right.
So it's again, yeah.
I would like to ask you guys a question. So what energy can we be? What can we do where talking about love and union and communion is as interesting to people as listening to the hate and separation? Because they tried to do news channels which talked about people doing good around the world. It doesn't work. Nobody watches them. They can't sell advertisement. They can't stay in, right? So what is it that would make this conversation you guys are having and your telecall series also as attractive to people as when you're talking about, getting rid of some invented limitation?
Yeah, great question. I know from my point of view is like, at the end of the day, a lot of people want to know what's in it for them, right? It's like, if I'm going to choose this class, if I'm going to choose this call and invest my money, like what's in it for me? What am I going to get out of it? And so for me, it's more of an invitation of like, if you're someone who, if there's somewhere deep down inside of you, you know that there's a different possibility outside of the confines of your structure, religion, ethnicity, but yet the leaders of those particular groups have always made you wrong. We're just trying to invite people to a different possibility outside of that, not to lose or let go of your beginnings, but to actually have maybe new information in addition to what you already know. And so it's like, what else is possible for your life, for your living, where you can actually create unlimited possibilities for yourself and for your family. And really that's what we're inviting to. And we need to clear the cobwebs of where this stuff is deep rooted, at least on an energetic level, because that's where it's going to have to change first, is on an energetic level. And we're going to ask questions to open up the door to begin to unravel all those places that have been solid in each of our lives and the world's lives. So,
Also, if I can come in here, Anthony and Cass, your question was really interesting because, how can you change people actually wanting to watch communion and love is by actually changing their points of view about what excites them, right? How many people go to watch a movie where there's so much of killing and there's violence and they say, wow, there's so much of excitement to that. So how much of those points of views need to be shifted?
Yeah.
Right. And can that, it's like shifting the point of view that you have about what creates fun in your life. So what if culture can be fun? What if religion can be fun? What if your country, your ethnicity can be fun? And what if all of that can contribute to you actually creating far greater and not in the confines? Yeah. And like Anthony, you said, not by allowing it to make you helpless, but by actually finding, like Gary said at the COP, it was so beautiful when he said, actually finding a path through that turmoil.
Yeah.
It's like a turmoil that we have in the world today, right? So it's like finding a path through that turmoil and creating something greater.
And how many of us are addicted to the adrenaline high that you get from fear, from watching the crap on the media? Yeah. How much of us are addicted to the trauma and drama that we actually see in the world?
Right. Absolutely.
And if it's an adrenaline fix, if you're an adrenaline junkie and that's where you get it from, well, guess what? I've had some pretty amazing experiences using the tools and assets. So if you're looking to go to different places and spaces, You don't have to watch the news. You could actually get that in class
Yeah.
or from a telecall. So
And
if you're going to get high and not have it be from drama and trauma and the crap that you see on TV, then, you know, it's, trust me, it's possible in an access class.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Bye, Cass.
Bye, Cass.
Love you.
Safe flight. Love you. Yeah.
All right.
So any more questions, guys, or are we good to wind up?
Yeah, I think we're good to go. That was fun, and I'm really looking forward to doing this call. I think it's something that's been burning in us since we were kids.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, everyone.
Thank you so much for, addiction to adrenaline. Yes.
Exactly right.
Thank you for being on, friends. And thank you, Anand.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Anand. Bye-bye.
Bye. So can we stop the recording?